Hey everybody, welcome to the Joe Show. I'm Joe, your host. I'm so glad that you are here joining us for the show. Make sure that you leave your comments at Gateway Pro Productions on Facebook, Instagram at _Joe Show 20, TikTok at _Joe Show 20, and also on YouTube at Boulder Dash. This episode I've spent a lot of time on. A lot of it was behind the scenes. I like to do a lot of stuff live. But this one, I put a lot of work into, so I hope you really enjoy it, and I hope that you do comment and tell me what you think about it, right? Tell me if you like it this way. Tell me if you like it the other way. But, hey, we got a lot more on my chest. This episode's going to be not political at all. I don't think I have any politics right now. That's on my brain right now. And on my notes, no politics. So it's gonna be a very fun, light episode, but you know how things can go. It can change at a flip of a dime. But I really wanted to talk about one of my favorite voice actors and one of my favorite shows. So let's get right into it. Let's do it. Okay? All right. Okay, turn that down. Okay, so from the time I was very young, I can always remember Scooby-Doo being a part of my life. I can't tell you when or the exact time or date, but it's always been there. I remember I used to always just sit down at nighttime watching this series and watching it in the morning when it came on before school. I don't know, it's just one of those nostalgic shows to me. Someone once told me, keep it simple, stupid. And that's exactly what Scooby-Doo did. It kept it simple, and that's what I like about it. I love the concept of it. 4 kids and their dog go out and stumble upon a mystery, and now they have to figure out who is the culprit of this crime. Not to mention the zany music, the backgrounds that repeat, and just all their crazy lines in this show. It is something that I have grown to love over the years with all the adaptations. Yes, even Velma. This show is so nostalgic to me, and it has a special place in my heart because it reminded me of the time I spent with my grandfather. He and I would sit in his big rocking chair, and we would sit there and watch Scooby-Doo late at night when it came on Cartoon Network. And so I think this show will always hold a special place in my heart. One of my best fond memories was sitting on the couch after he had went fishing, and he had made a bunch of fish, and I watched the premiere of Scooby-Doo in Cyber Chase. So for the first half of the show, I thought not only should we talk about Scooby-Doo, but let's talk about one of my very favorite voice actors who basically built all of our childhoods and is still working today. And I wanted to give him his flowers before he passed away. So let's get started with Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Okay, so let's start out. Who are the people in Scooby-Doo? So you have Velma, Shaggy, Daphne, Fred, and Scooby-Doo, right? These are the kids and the dog that started Scooby-Doo, or these are the characters in Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo started in 1969. The same year as the moon landing is when Scooby-Doo started. And before Scooby-Doo really got started, the idea of it was supposed to be like a murder mystery type of a deal. And around that time, they were doing a lot of that. You'd have like 4 kids and then their dog, right, would go out and try to find mysteries. They did that like with the Archies, Josie and the Pussycats. There's a couple of other shows where they kind of did the same thing. They had like kids and then something, whether it was a car, a shark, something, all right? So this was big and popular around that time. And so, but they wanted to make Scooby-Doo more, not adult friendly, but for an older children, right? That's what they wanted to do. So they were like, okay, so we got these 4 kids and we're going to leave. We don't need nothing else. We got the 4 kids and they're going to be out there looking for mysteries, and they're trying to figure out mysteries and things like that. And so the creators pitched it to CBS, right? And CBS was like, Man, okay, so listen, it's a great product. What you got is a great product, but it's a little too scary for kids. Can you like dumb it down or make it more lighthearted? And the creator's like, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. And we can have, what we're going to do is we're going to have a dog, right? And so that's where Scooby Doo was created, right? And the name Scooby, it even came from Frank Sinatra's song, right? When he's like, Scooby Dooby Doo type of a deal. That's where the name came from. And so they get this and they make this great television show, right? And you can still kind of see some of the more mature version of Scooby-Doo, because if you look at Scooby-Doo and you look at the monsters and the artwork of it and how dark it is, you can still see, oh, this was supposed to be more scarier, or for a older age group is what it was supposed to be. It's kind of like SpongeBob, right? All the jokes and things and the animation, how it looks, it was for an older age group. Same thing with Courage the Cowardly Dog, right? You can tell that these creators, they wanted it to be more adult or for an older range, but they had to kind of dumb it down so that kids could buy the product and things like that, because stuff like Courage scares the crap out of me. Stuff like Scooby-Doo, I am a grown-ass man, right? And there are still some episodes I will not watch at night. One of the episodes is the one with the robot. If you don't know the story about the one with the robot, basically there is a robot that is haunting this carnival, right? Okay, and it's just the artwork is really not scary. It's just I don't want to say what it's just the deadness of the eyes, right, and the way that he moves. It just kind of sends a shiver up your spine. The Space Kook episode, that's when they have like this alien, he's haunting this old airspace, right? It's really crazy, right? Another one are the phantoms. There's the green phantoms with the chains and everything, and they were scary. Like, they had that laugh where it was like, ha 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 ha. Sorry. But it was just scary and creepy, and it's a great show. And I like how we're getting a lot more adult versions of it, right? We're getting a lot of adult versions of it. Like, you have the new adaptation of Velma, and they're trying to make it more adult. I got that. Great. Just think you went the wrong way with it. But they are trying to grow to an older audience, or they're trying to at least grow with my generation, because my generation, I feel like we were the ones who really grasped onto Scooby-Doo, right? Now, I'm not saying the kids in the 60s and 70s and 80s really didn't care for Scooby-Doo. It's just, it wasn't as poppin', right? Like, what they say, I think they had like their 50th anniversary in 2019. Like, it is a long-running show, and it was one of the longest-running shows for a very long time, until you had like Rugrats, The Simpsons, and SpongeBob. They came along, but it was one of the longest-running shows of all time, right? But it's just a very good show. But let's talk about some of the voice actors that we have, right? So some of the voice actors, I'm going to botch some of their names, so just bear with me. So you have Velma Dinkley, okay? And she is played by Nicole Joffrey, right? Then you have Shaggy, or Norville is his God-given name, Shaggy Rogers. And that was played by the most famous radio host in all the world, Casey Kasem. Love Casey's voice. Next, you have Daphne, and Daphne, she was played by two people, right? So the first one was Heather North, okay? That was the first voice actress, and then I think she passed away, and that brought on... Stefanini, yes, I'm trying my best. I can't get it right. Okay, and then we have Scooby-Doo, right? And Scooby-Doo was played by Don Messick. He was the original character of Scooby-Doo. These are all the OGs. So when Scooby-Doo came out in 1969, these are all the OG people who started out with it, right? And then we have the last person, who is Frank Welker, who played Fred Jones, right? These guys are amazing voice actors and actresses. They have so much talent. They played these characters for a very long time. But the person I really wanted to talk about when it came to Scooby-Doo was Frank Welker, right? And the reason why I want to talk about him is because he's a very diverse actor, right? He has not only has he done Scooby-Doo, but he has done so many characters that we have, that we're familiar with, right? And that we grew up with, okay? And I just really want to talk about him because, you know, I'm one of those people who hate talking about people when they die, right? Like, I hate it when people hop on that bandwagon and they're just like, oh yeah, I like that person before they died. Well, you didn't post anything about them. You know, you didn't say nothing about them. Like me, if you go to my Facebook page, you can see who I like, right? You know that I like Spider-Man. You know that I'm a big fan of James Earl Jones, John Williams, because I like these characters. And I just don't like people hopping on bandwagons, you know? Like, how about we as people give people their flowers while they're alive, not just when they're dead? Because here's the thing, if you talk about them when they're dead, they can't hear it. They don't know the impact that you've had on their life. Like we did an episode on Kevin Conroy, right? And how he played Batman for so long, for all those years, right? And I liked him. I really did like him as Batman. But I wish I would have done a show. Not that he would have seen it, but I wish I would have done a show while he was alive, just in case he did see it. And just in case he was feeling down one day and it was just like he needed some inspiration. He's just like, okay, people love me, you know, type of a deal. And so that's what this part of the episode is about. It's just the love for not only Scooby-Doo and all the voice talent that went into that, but also the Frank Welker, right? This man is great and fantastic, right? And I've got some movies here, or some videos here. And it's just a little bit of interviews from Frank Welker. This is not by me. I did not have the great honor to sit down and talk with Frank Welker, which I would love that. But I didn't have the honor to. So I found some videos of an interview with him. And here is Frank Welker talking about him being casted in Scooby-Doo. So here you are. From the time I was very young, I can always remember Scooby. Nope, that's the wrong one. Okay, how about how about we try this one? Okay.
I wanted to do Shaggy because that was the funny part, and Casey Kasem, who was doing Shaggy, he wanted to do Freddy because it was more of a serious acting part. We ended up getting the exact opposite parts. I ended up with Freddy. He ended up with Shaggy, which he was fantastic at. But how I came up with that voice was basically, it's my own voice with maybe 5 cups of coffee. You know, hey, would you do it for a Scooby snack? Oh gosh, well come on guys. Hey, I can drive because I have a license.
Okay, Scooby, go in and take a look around. We'll keep watch out here. No, I'm not kidding.
What would have it been like, right? What would it have been like if he played Shaggy? I don't know if he could have played Shaggy. He's a very talented actor, right? And he could probably do a lot. But what would it have been like if he would have played Shaggy, and what if Casey Kasem would have played Fred? Like, if you watch Scooby-Doo and you can hear their different voices, it's just kind of one of those things where I like that behind the scenes stuff because that's something I didn't know, right? I didn't know that they want to play opposite characters. But their voices are so set in stone as those characters, like, right? And so what would have happened if they would have switched voices? You know, I don't know. I'm not saying Frank Welker couldn't have done it, but it's just so weird to me, you know. And isn't it crazy how you can, as an actor, you can go in with one role, but then people are like, hey, you know, nope, I don't think you're going to do good here. I'm going to put you in this other place. We're still going to put you in, but we're going to move you somewhere else. We're going to move you somewhere else. And then also, too, I just love it how he goes into the voice, right? I like how he goes into the voice, and because kind of with voice actors, it's one of those things like, you lied. You just wanted them impressionists, right? And so I loved how he went to the Fred voice, and then I loved how People Mac TV and how they went into the actual scene of him, so you can kind of hear the different between him doing that voice then and then what was already recorded. So in this next video, it's him, Frank Welker, talking about some of his different characters that he played, because like I said, he played a lot of characters, and he's only going to touch on a couple, and I'll come back and I'll talk to you guys about some of his other characters that he has done.
All these drawings on the table, which is, I love that. I just love to look at something very visual, and then, a voice will come. The voice I ended up with is, I am Megatron, leader of the Decepticons. I belong to nobody! They didn't fiddle with it all. I think they were so busy, they just said, go with it. There's probably a couple of surprising characters that I've done in the past. Garfield, Futurama, and believe it or not, I was Smokey the Bear. Only you can prevent forest fires.
One of the things that really blows my mind is the difference between characters, right? He plays so many characters. Just on Transformers alone, he played Megatron, and I think he played 3 other characters. He played 2 or 3 other characters, right? And just how different his voice is for those, right? So if you go watch other videos, because like I said, I like him. I've seen stuff on TikTok, and I watch videos of him all the time. But I saw one where he was talking about he was Megatron, right? And then he was talking about he was some of the other Decepticons. And so, of course, his voice is still the same, he's got it back here in the back of his throat. But then he does a different pitch, or he goes higher, or he goes lower. And it changes it into a different character, right? And I think that's amazing that this one person can do all these different voices, but you can't differentiate between the two, right? You wouldn't believe that it's one person playing the same character, right? It's not like in Scooby-Doo, like the older versions of Scooby-Doo, you would have like the sheriff also playing the bad guy. Like, they had the same guy play a lot of the same characters in Scooby-Doo, right? Like, I knew in one episode, there is one guy, he's playing the sheriff. And then in another episode, like 2 episodes later, he's playing a vampire, right? And he's playing the bad guy who's the vampire. And it's just crazy to me. Excuse me. The range that they have is kind of like a singer, right? They might be singing it right here all the time, but then they can go up and they can go down. And it's just crazy how they can manipulate their voices, right? And Frank Welker, he's got he's kind of got when he's not really trying to manipulate you, like if he's just kind of talking with his regular voice and then he goes up or down just a little bit, you can really tell what character he's playing. There's so many times that I will be watching something and I'll just kind of just be on my phone and I'm just scrolling, and then I hear his voice and I'm like, was he in this? And then I'll scroll through the cast. I'm like, he was in this, right? But he's just so diverse in what he can do, right? And so last video I have of Frank Welker, and basically it's talking about what he thinks about animation. So here it is.
I'd have to say that animation really remains a beloved genre in the entertainment business because of the fantasy element and of the ease of telling stories through animation.
So there it is, Frank Welker, one of my very favorite, you know what, I'm gonna say he's my favorite male voice actor, right? Because I have a favorite voice actress, right? Which maybe we'll do another episode on her, but just with a lot of politics and stuff going on right now, I can't do one on her. But he's just a very fantastic actor, and I want to come on here and I want to give him his flowers because he's in so many things, right? He was in, like we saw, he was Smokey the Bear, he was Garfield, he was Megatron, he was Fred. Later, when Don Messick died, he took on the role of Scooby-Doo. And you can he tell the difference in it. Like in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, right? He is the voice of Fred, and he's also the voice of Scooby-Doo, right? And he's also the voice of Daphne's father in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, right? And this is what I like so much about, this is how iconic he is to Scooby-Doo, right? In almost every single adaptation of Scooby-Doo, he's in it. Almost, okay? So take Velma, for instance, right? Velma, he isn't Fred in that one. But I think he plays like he plays Fred's dad in that one, right? And that's how iconic he is and how important he is to Scooby-Doo, is that they're going to be like, hey, this man has been playing Fred for all these years, since 1969. This dude has been playing Fred. He's been playing this guy for so long, we have to get him in here some type of way. We don't care what he's doing, he's got to be in here some type of way. Frank Welker also played, he was also in Lion King, right? He did the voices of, or he helped with the roar. The roar of the lions were a combination of a tiger's roar, a jet plane, and Frank Welker doing a roar in a garbage can. Like he had a garbage can and just doing the stuff, right? He also played Abu in Aladdin, so he's doing a lot of the monkey voices in Aladdin, and he did Raja in Aladdin also. And these are a lot of his small roles, which a lot of voice actors, they don't get a lot of credit for if it's really a small role. But he does a lot of animal noises and things like that. So I'll go through, I'll be watching the movie, and I love looking at the credits because I just love seeing all the work, all the people that put in the work to bring that film together. And it'll be like, voice of this animal, Frank Welker. And I'm like, this dude is just all over the place. Like I couldn't even, I was trying to figure out how I was going to do this episode and give him his flowers, because I can't go on to his Wikipedia and start reading the list, because if I do that, we're going to be here forever. Like this is going to be a 3-hour podcast and I ain't even got to nothing else, right? So he's just a very great voice actor, and I love him so much. I love that he uses his voice and he uses his talent to entertain us, because I have enjoyed it so much throughout the years, and I'm just happy. I just love that he just does that. So let's move on to something else. Guys, sit right there. We're going to be back with more of the Joe Show. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of media stuff today. So we're going to be talking about Planet of the Apes, because they got a new movie coming out, right? And I said, since I got this new movie coming out, how about I watch all the Planet of the Apes, right? And I have. I started in 1969 or 1970 is when I started watching them. Not like when I started watching them, but I watched them from when they were made. That was when the first one was made. And I'm watching them up until this next movie. And then when I get there, I'm going to watch that next movie. So sit right there. I'm going to tell you what I think about just it as a genre, right? And you'll hear my opinion. So sit right there. We'll be right back after these messages. See you on the flip side.
Caesar. Your servant. Your creature. Your animal. But I saw you die. The king is dead. Long live the king! Tell me, Breck, before you die, how do we differ from the dogs and cats you and your kind used to love? Why did you turn us from pets into slaves?
Because your kind were once our ancestors. Man was born of the ape. And there's still an ape curled up inside of every man. The beast that must be whipped into submission. The savage has to be shackled in chains. You are that beast, Caesar. You taint us. You poison our guts. When we hate you, we're hating the dark side of ourselves.
That is from Conquer, Planet of the Apes. Great movie. That is the fourth edition of Planet of the Apes. Very good film and one of my favorite parts of that film. This whole group of movies so far is very good. Okay. You've got the new Planet of the Apes coming out. And so I was like, okay, I want to go back and I want to watch all of them, right? So I got to figure out a way to do that. Come to find out, Hulu has all of the past ones on there. So I said, I'm going to start from 1970, I think it's 1969 to 1970, and I'm going to start there and I'm going to watch them all the way through just to see how they click together, right? That's what I wanted to do. And I started that. And from what I'm finding out, they're really, really good, okay? And the storyline is very good. I mean, the storyline is on the same basis as Star Wars, right? And what I mean by that is it just connects very well, okay? I just don't know why. I feel like people are sleeping on this movie, right? Or these series of films because they're so good, right? I won't say they are as good as Star Wars, but they are pretty good for what they are, right? I started watching, I've seen Planet of the Apes. I've seen, Escape from Planet of the Apes. That's the second edition. The third one, no, is that the right one? Okay, there's a bunch of them. But I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then I watched the 2001 version and then the one with James Franco in it. So I watched all those. And once you get past that it's made in the 1970s and 80s and 90s, they're good films with a good underlining message. They're really, really good. As you can tell from that scene there, okay? Like, there's a lot of buildup before you get to that point there, okay? There is humans coming to the Planet of the Apes, right? Spoiler alert, here we go. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Humans coming to the Planet of the Apes, right? Humans finding out that the Planet of the Apes is Earth, but in the future, right? Okay? So then the humans that get to the Planet of the Apes, they escape. They're trying to find other human beings. They find another human being race that are still intelligent but protecting themselves from the Planet of the Apes. And they create a weapon just in case the apes attack. The apes finally do attack. They release the weapon. The weapon destroys the Earth, right? There are 3 apes that escape, right? And then they escape like Superman from Earth. But then what happens as their spaceship is leaving Earth, the explosion sends them back in time to 1973. They land on Earth in 1973. They're kind of welcomed a little bit, and then the humans turn on them. The apes have a baby. The 2 apes that arrived here on the spaceship, they die. Right? Their baby lives. Their baby becomes Caesar, the intelligent ape that was talking in that scene, and they conquer the human race, right? Or a part of the human race. Okay? Then the movie after that, they're living, and they have a battle with the humans who are not animal-like yet. They are still intelligent like regular human beings. I don't know what the freak that was, but they are living. They have a battle with them, right? And then you get into the 2001 version, which is kind of a remake. And then you have the one with James Franco, which is another remake. And they are continuing on with the story. And from what I see with the one with James Franco and the 2001 version, they are they're trying to tell a different story, but keeping the same, but like revamp it. They're trying to do the same story, but revamp it, right? They're taking tidbits from the originals and they're making their own story, right? And it's very well done from what I've seen so far, and they're just really, really good, right? Especially with the underlining message, like the conquering Planet of the Apes, that's the clip I got that from. It is basically talking about slavery, right? The apes are finally overtaking the humans, and they are telling some of the humans who they grow a good relationship with are saying, listen, we know that humans treated you badly. We know that we don't deserve mercy. But do you want to end up like the humans who persecuted you? Right? It's talking about slavery, and it kind of got me thinking about like black people, right? Like, it's just one of those things like, if black people had enough and people of color had enough with what white people are doing to them, if they conquered them, would we try to do the same thing that the white people of the past did and conquer white people, or would we try to create unity? You know, it really got me thinking with that movie. Like, it was just a deep movie. It was deeper than you thought it would be, right? Because you think of Planet of the Apes and you think of they're just going to be apes flying around and apes talking type of a deal, right? But they took that idea and they took that concept, right, and they ran with it and made it very, very good, you know? And that's just that one. The first one is talking about how man, the reason why the Earth is the planet of the apes is because man couldn't be one with each other, right? We were so at each other's throats with everything in the world. You know, we always wanted to one up each other that we eventually destroyed each other. And then the apes who we taught to be intelligent and be our slaves, they overtook the Earth, right? That's Planet of the Apes. Very deep. You know, it's a very, very good series. And if you haven't seen it, go out and watch it. It's very good. I love it. I think it's excellent, you know. But that one right there has got to be my favorite because there are a lot of things that they were leading up to, right? So, like I said, the first one, they come to the planet. They see that it's got a bunch of apes. The second one, it shows that they're still intelligent humans. It blows up. When those apes who are on the spaceship get thrown back in time in 1973, the humans are asking them, like, what happened to the world? All this and this and this. And then it explains how the apes became intelligent, right? It explains how they overran the Earth, right? And it was that the movie following that, the fourth one, it brings everything into fruition, right? And you start to see the Planet of the Apes, right? I even like how in the last movie of the old Planet of the Apes, one of the big things that they're talking about is unity, right? They know the future of the world. They know that apes took over the world, that they encountered these humans. These humans had this weapon to defend themselves from the apes, and that these humans set that weapon off, which eventually destroyed life as we know it, right? They have that knowledge now, right? And so now Caesar, he is at a crossroads because he's like, do I let apes thrive? And then we get to the future that we know, or do I try to create another future and try to have unity between humans and apes, right? It's just a very deep series, deeper than you thought it would be, right? Like I said, it was made in the 70s, it was made in the 80s, so there are some boring parts, right? They have some boring parts, but then at the same time, you know, it's very interesting. The quality of it was very low, but, you know, when I was watching it, I thought that Hulu my internet was running slow or something like that, because it kept like being blurry and stuff like that. And I said, oh, that's just the internet, just trying to go, I got sucky internet, right? No, come to find out, it was the film, right? But there's just some things like that. What's another thing? Oh yes, like I said, it stuck true to the lore. I like how Caesar, I love that goddamn clip. One of the people that I don't think they showed in the clip was McDonald, right? McDonald is a person who, in that movie, from the clip, that clip we saw, that particular movie, he was the person who was he was a black guy, right? And he was basically talking to Caesar. He was like, Caesar, I understand where you're coming from. I understand more than anybody else. And is this how you want to bring life into the future? Do you want to take the people who persecuted you and be just like them? Like, it just spoke so well, and I was not expecting that from that film, especially a film made in the 70s, right? A person talking about racism and slavery in the 70s, right? Because 10 years before this movie was made, black people had just gotten their civil rights, or maybe 5 years before the movie was made, black people had just gotten their civil rights, right? Like, if you talk to at least the black people I interact with, we say that slavery wasn't abolished until 1968, right? So let's say this film is made shortly after that. Let's just say 5 years after that. You get a movie like this 5 years after that, right? And the reason why I say so many people are sleeping on it is because how can you make a film like this? How can you make a film like this in the 70s and nobody's eyes were open, right? I don't, or it just went over people's heads, Like, I don't know. I just really, really love this film. I've always loved like apes and lions and elephants, so these have always been my favorite movies. So to see a film about them and about how making them intelligent as human and interacting with humans, just like how other humans interact, it's very good. And like I said, I'm super excited for these new films that are coming out. Like I said, I watched the first one all the way up until the James Franco one, so I have 2 more to watch, and then after that, I'm going to watch the new one and see how the storyline has progressed. Did they stay with a lot of stuff that happened in the older films, or did they try to tell a new story? And are they good? Just from the behind the scenes stuff, like with Andy Serkis and the apes and the extended arms that they have from the behind the scenes, and just the emotion from a lot of the actors and actresses from the behind the scenes, it's really good. So I'm hoping they're really good, and can't wait to see them. So that's what I got to say about Planet of the Apes. Very good film. I love the underlining message it has with it, and I think it's good for everybody. So if you like the Planet of the Apes, or you're going to go see the new one, tell me what you think about it. Go watch some of the old films if you got Hulu. I mean, they got like a deal for like $1.99. That's all we pay. We pay for the ads. I mean, we got the ads. So, yeah, go check those out and see what you think about them. Make sure you comment at Gateway Pro Productions on Facebook, Instagram at @the_JoShow20, and at TikTok at @the_JoShow20, and Balderdash and Spotify. So, stay right there. We're going to be right back. I've got some Lyft stories, and I've entitled them Respect Your Driver. So stay right there. We'll be right back after this. See you guys on the flip side. All right, we're back. Last half of the show, lift stories. Okay, so I don't know what it is about Lyft, but a couple things that happened when I was in Lyft. People always thought, like, one, I was their therapist, but that's another story, and two, they just acted like you weren't there. Like, you were literally not a person when you were a Lyft driver, right? And I understand we were just doing our job and we're providing a service, so people don't have to really appreciate us or even notice that we're there. But, man, it just really blew my mind just how, I can't think of the word, but just how invisible people thought we were, right? Because this was one of my very first Lyft rides, right? And this is where I kind of got the idea to start writing these stories down or writing the titles of them down, because this story was just crazy, you know? So basically, Springfield is all cut up a certain way. Whoever planned the city did it very well, okay? So I'm in the middle of Springfield. I get this call to go to the universities. The universities are on the outskirts of town, right? So I knew that this was either someone who was rich and they were going to go back or stay over by the university and to one of their big rich houses, lake houses, or they were going to be coming back into town. Either way, I was going to be making money. So I took it. I drive all the way to the university. It's dark outside. There's this black lady, and she's looking. She's asked me, "Are you the Lyft?" I say, "Yes." She hops in the car. She's on the phone, right? Now, I don't understand what it is about certain people, okay? Why do y'all talk on speakerphone, okay? Why do you talk on speakerphone, okay? I want to know that. Like, I talk on speakerphone when I'm doing something. Like, if I'm in the kitchen, I'm washing dishes, and you want to be on the phone with me, and I don't have my Bluetooth, I'm talking to you on speakerphone. But if I have a very sensitive conversation, I'm getting out the room, I'll be talking to you like this. Hey, man, yeah, you know, like this. This is how I'm be talking. That's what I'm going to do. So I don't understand why other people don't do it. Maybe it's your mindset. Y'all got a different mindset than me. Maybe. But this lady hopped in the car. She's on speakerphone. She's talking to who I think is her best friend, right? And she was talking to this guy, and she was talking about her relationship with another guy, to this dude, right? And I don't know if this dude knew she was on speakerphone or not, but she's sitting there talking about this guy, like, yeah, you know, he just don't treat me right. He ain't doing this, he ain't doing that, and doing this. And then the guy on the phone just like, "That's why you should get with me. You know, if you got with me, I would treat you right," and stuff like that. And she was like, "Yeah, I know, but you know, we just friends and stuff like that, you know, so we can't be together, you know, type of a deal." Like, this dude's friend zoned, right? And so then they started talking about, like, sex, right? And she started talking about how the dude doesn't fuck her right, okay? I always try to censor myself, especially on video. I don't know why I try to do that now, but she was talking about he just don't do what he's supposed to do in the bedroom. And he started going, the dude, her friend, who's in the friend zone, who at this point I didn't know if he liked her or not, but at this point of the conversation I did know, because he started talking about all the things he would do to her. She just over there giggling on the phone and stuff like that. And I was sitting here driving like, I don't want to hear none of this. I don't want to hear what your best friend is going to do to you, you know, because it was just crazy. Because some of the stuff I heard, he was like, "Yeah, I would do this, I would do that," and she's just sitting there laughing. She's talking like, "I would love this and I would love that," and he was like, "I'd buy you this lingerie and stuff like that." And this dude's completely friend zoned. He ain't getting none of the pussy at all, ever. But just their conversation they was having, it just blew my mind. With me in the car, like, this is something I would think you would have on private, you know, like, have a Bluetooth or put the phone up to your ear and talk about it. That way, all I hear is you just chuckling. Is that right? You would do that? That sounds like a good time. And then I would just speculate what was going on, right? That's just what I want to do. So, in the future, if you are in a Lyft, don't be on speakerphone. Hell, don't be on speakerphone in public. Just let people accidentally overhear your conversation and let them speculate about what's going on. Like, a lot of us don't want to be a fly on the wall, right? There was this another story where I was going to the fairgrounds, and the fairgrounds has like this big expo area, right? And in that expo area, they have the events, a lot of events and things like that. Like if you're having a wedding, you can rent out this expo area and you can have your wedding there. And that's what happened. Somebody had, they were having a wedding at this expo building. And I had went there before earlier in the night, picked up some people, took them home. It was just fine. I got a call to go back to the expo building to pick up some more people, right? Now, with my car was kind of banged up, right? It was banged up, but it wasn't banged up. When I mean banged up, the outside, aesthetically, to the eye, it was kind of banged up a lot, right? Not a lot, just minimal damage, okay? But she ran great. And one of the problems with it was my door on my back passenger door wouldn't open by itself from the inside, right? It always opened from the outside, right? So one of the things I would tell people is like, hey, you might want to get out on the driver's side and the passenger side because you cannot get out from the left side because the door is broken. If you don't want to move, I can get out and I'll be more than happy to unlock that door or open that door for you, right? And most people were super chill about it, right? So I go to the expo building. I'm picking up this couple, right? This dude is sketched out from the beginning. I'm thinking he's drunk or whatever, but he's sketched out from the beginning because I had a Crown Victoria. And if you don't know anything about a Crown Victoria, for you people who don't live in Illinois, the Crown Victoria is a state police car, or it's a police car, right? And so I had that. Everybody thought I was the cops, right? So this guy, he gets into the car, right? He gets in on the driver's passenger side. His girlfriend, she's on the phone trying to get like a hotel arrangement, so she's sitting outside. My door on the passenger side wasn't working, which I didn't know, but it wasn't working. She couldn't get in. And so I said, oh, let me get that. So I get out of the car. The boyfriend is trying to open the door from the inside. And I'm like, knocking on the window, you can't open it. You can't open it. You know, it's the door's broken or whatever. And so I said, ma'am, I'll get that door. So as I'm getting the latch, I pull the latch. He busts through, right? He's like, I'm not staying in no fucking car that I can't get out of. I said, dude, you can get out of the car, right? You can get out the car. You'll just have to get out of the passenger side because this door's broken. He's like, no, man, I'm not getting no lift like that, bro. I'm not getting no lift like that. And I said, you're not getting in a car like this? He said, no, man, I'm not getting no car like that. And I said, okay, fine. I ain't taking you nowhere. The girlfriend is like, listen, we done had a long night. We've been at this wedding all day. We've been drinking. I just want to go home. And I said, ma'am, calm down your boyfriend and I'll take you wherever you got to go. He wasn't calming down. I said, ma'am, listen, I'll take you wherever you got to go, but he's not getting in my car. He's like, bro, you ain't going to do that. You ain't going to do that. You ain't going to leave us. And I said, okay. And I left. And I blocked him. Listen, I understand it's partly my fault. I really do. I understand that it's partly my fault that I had a busted door. I was trying to get money to get the door fixed, right? It just wasn't. And I understand you not able to freely get out of someone's car. Gotcha. I understand that. But I have a 5-star rating on Lyft with nothing but good reviews and on Lyft, right? So I don't understand why he was so hesitant, you know? I know it's a old police car, so that might have been something. He was drunk, so that might have been something. But I just don't understand how you can be so disrespectful. Maybe that's what this part of the Lyft story is. Don't be disrespectful to your Lyft drivers. Like, have enough respect to them that you don't be on your speakerphone and having a unwholesome conversation, that they can hear. And also, to treat them with respect. Like, you don't know why they're out there doing Lyft. I could have been out there doing Lyft so that I could get my car fixed. You never know. And with a 5-star rating, no complaints, you know, I was one of the best damn drivers out there. But I've only had to do that a couple times where I've blocked a couple of people because I just didn't like them. You know, they treated you badly. I had a guy who was racist, which maybe that's what the song I will talk, or not the song, but that's the story I'll tell next week. There was a guy who, he wasn't racist, but his friend was racist, right? And that's another speakerphone conversation too. But treat your Lyft drivers and Uber drivers with respect, because they are providing you a service, right? Like without them, you wouldn't be able to get where you're going, right? Like here in Terre Haute, there aren't that many options. In Springfield, there were a lot of options. You had Lyft, you had Uber, you had cab services. There was even a couple of shuttle places that you can call, and they would come pick you up. And you had the bus. You know, you had so many options that you could go with. Here in Terre Haute, there's not that many. We have a shitty cab service, and you have Lyft and Uber, and that's it. And you better hope that the hotel or wherever you're going has a shuttle, because if you don't, you're just out of luck, right? And so they're providing you a service. Treat them with respect, because without them, you wouldn't be able to get where you're going unless you got a car, right? And if you had a car, you probably wouldn't be calling Lyft or Uber. Or if you have a car and you're drunk, you wouldn't be calling a Lyft or Uber. So be more respectful to those people, because they're just trying to make money. They're trying to make money, and they're providing you a service. So that's all I got there. So, guys, if you like anything that I talk about, whether it was with Planet of the Apes, Frank Welker, and Scooby-Doo, make sure you write at Gateway Pro Productions on Facebook, Instagram at _Joe Show 20, also on TikTok at _Joe Show 20, or Balderdash on YouTube. I would love to hear your comments. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or watching us on Spotify, make sure you go there and you comment about that as well. I'm headed out of here. I've got a bunch of stuff that I'm editing, and it's just going to be all good. So I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you so much for listening to The Joe Show. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye, everybody.